Hello and welcome to this episode of Insight at TVC22. My name is Thomas Stockton and as you may know I am the reporter here and I'm going to be your host today. In this particular topic we're sat outside enjoying some sunshine and a little bit of wind as we're exploring some events that took place in Clarence Rockland over the course of the weekend. As you probably know, the new provincial restrictions came into effect. They have chopped and changed. They've been all over the place a little bit and they have been mighty confusing for some people, and there were some tickets that were issued over the weekend, and as you can probably understand there was a little bit of discontent about that, and that is what we will be looking at today. And joined with me is a resident of the United Counties of Prescott and Russell, which is Stephanie Clarke. How are you, my dear?
I'm okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much for speaking to me today. I think before we dive into what occurred over the weekend, I just wanted to ask you to introduce yourself a little bit, if that's quite all right. A little bit about who you are, where you live, and your own relation to the area.
I've lived in this area for about 30 years, 25 years in Rockland, and here for the last few years. And we spend summers at our campground in Clarence Creek. We also spend a lot of time with our lodge community, our Indigenous community, out in the bush south of here in Moose Creek. So I spend a lot of time volunteering with that, and I've done a little bit of work for some schools in teaching some Indigenous studies, and I'm just starting to work with a group of First Nations people here with South Nation Conservation Authority.
Fantastic. So an implication a little bit all over the area, especially with things that tie to your roots as well. And as you say, you've been in the area for over 3 decades now. So can you talk to us a little bit about your day on, it was Sunday, wasn't it, if I'm correct, and you were issued a ticket by a bylaw officer for a failure to comply with the current restrictions that are in place province-wide. So can you just sort of very briefly run us through your day and the events that led up to you getting this ticket?
It all started on Sunday morning when we realized that we were out of cream and bread for breakfast. So we live sort of in the middle between Hawkesbury and Rockland, but because I lived there so long, I generally choose to do my shopping there. So we headed into Rockland and we went through and got a coffee and a breakfast sandwich, and then we headed to the Walmart, which is usually where I would do my shopping. And we just got a new vehicle, so we decided we had better park sort of away from the crowd. Everybody can relate to this. And when we pulled up there, we saw 2 friends of ours from the campground parking their truck like that as well, I guess, to avoid the dings. So we hadn't seen them in many months. It was exciting. We got out with our coffees, and they were there to do shopping as well. And my friend and I discussed what we were going to purchase in Walmart. And we were there for approximately 7 minutes, and then 2 bylaw trucks showed up. And 2 officers came, and they asked if we knew that there was a stay-at-home order. I said yes. They asked if we were from the same household, and I said no, it was 2 couples. She asked what we were doing. I said that we had met by chance, actually, in the parking lot, and we were there to do our groceries.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about this interaction with the officers?
There was a female officer and a male officer, and the female officer was talking to me, and she again asked if I understood the state of emergency, and I said yes, I understand. I said I feel very fortunate because we're Indians, we've already been vaccinated, and we're lucky to spend time outside, feel safe outside. And I think I did say to her at one point, oh, I thought that the new restrictions were happening on Monday, but then she corrected me and said that actually the no gathering outside started at midnight that night, the previous night, and that the province borders were going to be shut on Monday. So I guess I expressed my confusion, and I thanked her for the information. And I said to my husband and my friends, I said, we better get going because we can't stay here. Go in and get our shopping and go.
Yeah.
And that's when the other officer said to me that he needed my ID. And that's when the hair stood up on the back of my neck because I couldn't figure why he would need my ID. We weren't gathering on purpose.
But with the current restrictions in place that say no gatherings, would you consider what you had there as that fortunate encounter, or unfortunate as it would so happen to be? Would you count that as a gathering? Is that how you saw it?
I certainly wouldn't consider that a gathering. To me, a gathering is people making plans and getting together in a group on purpose with a goal of maybe having coffees all together or a picnic or a party. So to me, just running into my friends in the parking lot seemed like a pretty innocent thing to do, to say hello.
So based on the current provincial restrictions, even the ones that you thought were coming in on Monday, even if they had come in on the Sunday, you, with that position there, with that bumping into friends, you reading those restrictions saying no gatherings, you wouldn't have thought that that interaction came under that umbrella?
No, I would never hesitate to say hello, how are you, to community members. I mean, I've been in this community for a really long time, and it is very rare when I go out to shop or run an errand that I don't see some family or friends or people that I know. And I'm just accustomed to being friendly with our people.
Okay, were you the only people in the car park having conversations like that?
No, there were many people in the parking lot that day. Many of them were in the middle of the parking lot, so there was a lot more congestion in cars. But there were many calling out and talking to each other and walking with their carts to their cars. It was a beautiful day.
And in terms of what you saw, did the bylaw officers approach anyone else?
They came directly in our direction. Directly.
Why do you think that is?
They pulled into the parking lot directly to us.
And why do you think that is?
Maybe we were more obvious when we were standing there.
How many people got issued a ticket?
Well, there were two couples. So one officer wrote a ticket for the husband that we had run into, of that couple, and the other officer wrote a ticket to my husband. So only two people received the ticket, but as they were leaving, they said, we're actually giving you a break because we could have ticketed all four of you. $750 plus tax and a fee. It's a lot of money.
Now, how did this make you feel?
It made me feel really unsafe, really frightened. I never expected to feel that way in my own community. You know, I've had many, many dealings with many residents and also the OPP who are in our town as the police force, and the paramedics and the firemen. I mean, I had never felt like that before. It was a very oppressive feeling, like it wasn't real. And, you know, it took me a couple of days to leave the house again. I had to go and get supplies for my elderly grandmother. She's in a home. And it took a lot for me to go back out the door. And I chose not to shop in Rockland. And I've had this feeling before. You know, when you're a minority and you encounter law enforcement, anybody who's felt this feeling knows what I'm saying. You know that you need to shut up and comply. Things might not go very well for you. So that's what we did.
So do you think the fact that you're a minority, do you think that might have come into the equation here then, in terms of why they approached you and like how they interacted?
I felt like that was a strong possibility, but we have a lot of past things acting on the present. So even if that wasn't the intention, that's how it felt to me. It was a very familiar, scary feeling.
So what were some of the things that maybe occurred that sort of made you feel that way?
From the incident?
Yes, indeed, yeah.
The way that they pulled their vehicles in and sort of blocked in our vehicles so that we couldn't get away. It was very aggressive and intimidating. And when I had asked the officer why he needed my ID, he just took it from me and didn't answer. It was like I didn't deserve an answer. It just, I never expected to feel this way in Canada, in my little town.
So how do you think the bylaw officers could have maybe acted a little bit differently in that circumstance?
I'm thinking that, you know, because it was unintentional and because we were all 6 feet apart, and it was quite obvious that we were parked in the Walmart parking lot. We're going to go shopping, and we stated we were. And because I was confused about, I guess, that you weren't allowed to stop and talk to people as you went in, perhaps just giving us a warning, I would have really respected that, for sure. Yeah, I don't think that they're bad people. I think maybe they just don't understand what it's like for some of us.
And we did reach out to the city of Clarence Rockland to try and get a better gauge on what occurred over the weekend. They told us there was 32 interactions in between bylaw officers and community residents over the course of the weekend, and 4 tickets were issued. So obviously, 2 of which were issued to your party in that Walmart parking lot there. I also asked them for, I asked the city of Clarence Rockland for an interview or a statement regarding what happened at the weekend, but both of those were denied, and they just said they weren't going to do an interview and they weren't going to release a statement on either. So how does, knowing that, 32 interactions, 4 tickets, they won't issue a statement despite knowing the fact that we were speaking today and some of the issues you were feeling about that interaction, how does that make you feel?
That's really disheartening. That's really disheartening. And if there were all of those interactions, what happened to all of those other people? Why were those 2 tickets given to us? It makes me wonder even more if it really was something to do with who we are.
Have you yourself reached out to the city of Clarence Rockland, and what are your next steps here?
Well, on Sunday, we happened to see one of our OPP officers, our local officer, and my husband and the other man asked him questions about the ticket, because it was very shocking. Like, we've never had this kind of thing happen with the bylaw before. But he said that it was out of his jurisdiction, that he couldn't help us, that just to follow the instructions on the back, which we've done. And then my husband said, you know, he's looking at the Rockland website, and he said, the mayor's number is right here. I think I'll call. And when he called, the mayor was quite perturbed and said, why are you calling me on a Sunday? This could wait. So we said that we were rather disappointed by that, and that we would like to lodge a complaint about the way that this was handled. And eventually he agreed to give us his email address, which I guess is on the website, and said that he would forward something to the head of the bylaw department. So it was very unsatisfactory. It was, I guess it made clear to me that we're really not welcome there in Rockland, because at every turn it seemed that they're not interested. I mean, he did say, the mayor said, well, you don't live here, I can't help you. But my reaction to that is, but it's your town, and anyone who comes here should be able to access help from the city.
So what do you think, and what would you hope the city could have done differently to help someone out in your situation, or potentially, I mean, we're in this stay-at-home order and this lockdown and this shutdown, as whatever it's being called these days, until the 19th of May. So what do you think could have been done differently from your perspective to be able to try and facilitate and not leave this bitter taste in your mouth?
By the city, I think that they maybe should give their bylaw officers some more up-to-date information, maybe some training about different cultures and minorities and their approach. That would be helpful.
And moving forward, Steph, with the ticket you have been issued, are you and your husband going to be contesting this?
Yes, yes.
And how have you been told you have to go about that?
It has to go through the courthouse in Lorignal, and we had to sign it and mail it there. And I guess they will receive it, and the Crown Prosecutor will contact us when it comes up for her.
Well, Steph, I thank you very much for taking your time to speak to us about this today. Hopefully things move in the right direction for you, and we can definitely communicate a little bit more going forward. And if anything else, we can at least try and clarify some of these rules for everyone. So thank you everyone for watching this episode today. As I mentioned in my last question there towards Stephanie Clarke, we did reach out to the City of Clarence Rockland to try and speak to them about this incident, about clarifying some of the rules, but there is no official statement to be given or interview to be granted to us at this time. But we will definitely be seeking to try and gain some more answers on all of this, find out the position of the city, the position of the province, and what should be done, whether the situation was correct or not, and we'll be definitely trying to follow up with this. So thank you very much for watching, and Stephanie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.